thanks for coming, guys. And it's a nice little intimate group. For the sake of the recording, Alicia, CA president, and we've got Tommy, vice president, Steve, secretary, and Therese, our treasurer. So the sad thing is that this would normally be the time we would be at a town dinner, right? And like have sharing stories and sharing food. And obviously we can't do that this year, which is a big bummer. But we did want to get together and have at least like the quote business side of the talk that we would normally have at the town dinner. So we'll do the elections, which we normally would do, and then Therese will give a little overview of kind of our treasury situation. And then Steve will talk about the Bugle and the survey. He got stellar results from the survey. 131, did you say, folks responded to that survey?
Almost 118, but
118. um, and then at the end, we can kind of talk a little bit about what this year might look like. Obviously, things are still very much in flux with COVID, but we definitely still have some things on the books that we're planning for, and we can hear if you guys have any ideas as well. So the first order of business is the election for the Citizens Association board.
I move that we that the current slate is accepted.
Thank you very much, Henry. Is there a second for that?
Second.
Thank you. Yay. Well, that can be first order of business done. Well, we are very, all seriousness, very happy to continue to do this and serve. We talked about it before. We're just a really good group. Even in this crazy pandemic world, I've had a lot of fun connecting with all of you and planning for sort of untraditional CA events this year. But great. So then with that, maybe Therese, if you want to talk a little bit about what the budget looks like, and I will mute myself.
Sure. We started with $3,260, and our revenues with membership dues and ads, we've got $4,328. So that put us at $7,588. Our expenses was the printing in the Bugle, $1,800. The wine night was $122.34. Our event with Christina Gray was $1,000. And our P.O. box rental was $106. So our total expenses totaled $3,028. So our ending balance was $4,559.69. That's it.
Awesome. Thank you, Therese. And we are collecting dues, and I think
yes, we're collecting dues currently. You can mail them to the P.O. box, and perhaps I'll go over to the post office and maybe one day in March, and we'll see about collecting dues in person then.
Perfect. Thanks, Therese.
Sure thing.
So, Steve, if you want to talk about the Bugle.
Sure.
Loving this wallpaper also.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Great.
All right. Yeah. So I just wanted to give a quick update on how the Bugle's going. I was going to explain what the Bugle was, but I think you all know. But we've been a publication for decades, really an institution of the town, and it's really been a pleasure to carry that on as the editor. I've been editor for about 2 years. Still feeling like I'm getting my feet wet, but it's been really awesome serving. So just an idea of what we tend to publish: council reports, town manager reports, mayor's letters. A lot of governmental aspects. We also have regular contributors, although we don't have too many regular contributors anymore due to COVID. I hope that's going to come back as things start to open up again. And we rely very heavily on resident contributions, which have also been kind of down. So one of many plugs, really hungry for content, folks. So that's what I'll say there. Currently, the Bugle is basically comprised of three folks. There's me, the editor. I also handle the ads at the moment. We have Joanne Schmader, who really, really essential work putting together the calendar that is just hitting up so many people, so many contributors to say, yes, we are doing something on the first of whatever month. So that's really helpful. And she also does our distribution, where she will mail out bugles to those who have opted to receive it via mail. They pay for that privilege. It's not for everybody. And then, of course, Ed Lincoln, our faithful bugle reporter. Without him, we would have no idea what was going on in town council, because viewership of those YouTubes is very low if you ever check the ticker.
Too much idea.
It may be the other way around.
Fair enough. So I wanted to take this opportunity to say that we're looking for help. I've spoken to former editors in the past, and I've learned that this used to involve a lot more people. While it can be done with the three of us, I think there's a lot of benefit to just bringing more people into the fold, working with our advertisers to make sure that they're current, helping out with mailing. And even if we wanted to get a beat reporter, maybe a high school student or someone older with time who wanted to just start figuring out what's going on in town, because sometimes it feels like you don't really know what's up. And we would love to have more content, more help, and just more people involved. I wanted to bring up the Treasurer's report from last year, because I wasn't very familiar with the finances of the Bugle, but I was a little concerned from last year when I saw that the Bugle was really eating up the CA's finances, and was actually putting us on the road towards insolvency if things weren't changed. That didn't really end up happening because, as many of you might know, we shut down printing in April due to COVID, and we weren't printing really until October, and that enabled us to, as Therese pointed out, that really cut down our printing costs, and that helped right the ship, I think. But we're still exploring ways that we can keep the Bugle costs down. Maybe reducing the amount of issues we print in the post office, as less people go into the post office these days. There's usually a lot of extra copies there now, and maybe encouraging those who can and are willing to stick with an online electronic copy. Just wanted to go through some of the highlights of last year. We started out really kind of pretending that COVID wasn't a thing. We had heard grumblings about it, and in the news, but it hadn't really sunk in America. So we had our town dinner in January. Art at Penn Place was still going strong. Moving on to February, we had our winter wine tasting, which was, I think, the last time we all got together. Super fun event. The Bugle tried to document the beginning of the sidewalks installation. So those are pictures of Oxford at Weymouth, close to my house. So that's why I tend to get pictures of it. And that's around when it started. In April, a few of us got together. I won't name them, and we put out an April Fool's edition, the Bungle. Many people were fooled. I got an angry email asking where my article is, and I would say, look again. I think you'll find it. And they say, I can't find it, and that was a fun little having to clarify with people. It was a joke. So I think we fooled people, and that was a lot of fun. May, June, we did a great issue. I think it was actually Chris Keller's idea to do full length articles for the graduates to celebrate them, and it didn't really cost us anything more to print it, so we did that. I got to attend the Black Lives Matters demonstration, get some pictures of that. We held our elections virtually. But then, things, once things start getting canceled, July, kind of just didn't really, there wasn't much more to cover other than the town council meetings, of course, which were still going, and every now and then we get some contributions from people, but it got kind of sad towards the end of the year. We put out a Google survey. 118 people responded, not to every question, but we were really thrilled about the amount of response we got. And I'm sorry if you can hear a child screaming in the background. That's my baby, but he's okay. And so we got to get a sense of what people thought about the Bugle, where things could go. A general sense was that people read it primarily to get the town council report. They really rely on that as a way to know what's going on. And people just love, just seeing updates from residents. So we're always trying to get more of that. I was really happy to see that for the most part, people are pretty happy with the Bugle. So, I'm always looking to see if we need to change or how we can improve, but it's good to know that for the most part, we are on the right track. And that's really all I have to say about things. But thank you, everyone who contributed. I'm going to be analyzing the how do I stop this shit? Okay, I'm going to be analyzing the survey results more as I go, but for the most part, people just want more content and more of what they're already getting. So that's good to know. So yeah, that's it. Thank you.
That was awesome, Steve. Thanks so much. I see Henry had a question. If you can enlarge the
Thank you,
graph.
Steve.
Yeah, sorry, the graphs were small. I will publish. I don't want to.
Steve, if you even just went full screen with those slides, that would have helped.
Oh, I'm sorry. It was basically showing there were thank you. There were there was one pie chart showing the age of the people who responded, and it was pretty evenly split between those over 65 and those between like 41 and 60 and 64, and then 30 to 44. It was a pretty even split. And then the other graph was showing that a vast majority of people are very satisfied with the Bugle. So if they weren't satisfied, they were not responding to the survey. Which there could be some selection issues there, but I can't unpack that.
Well, really big shout out to you, Ed, Joanne, that you guys have really, been awesome. And it's been so great still having the Bugle. You guys have done so much awesome work. And we just can't thank you enough. Now, I know you mentioned you want more people involved, and that's like really kind of the biggest plug. Do you have any thoughts on like what we could do to sort of engage, try to recruit? And I think you even mentioned did you mention like a high schooler or a student, or did I hallucinate that? Because that could be a cool idea.
Right. So, and certainly because I'm going to put out an email just out to the all the listservs to just try and bring up the point that we want more people involved. And we'll see what happens. I know that high schoolers have their own outlets with their high school newspapers. I think there's 2 publications that come out of Walter Johnson, for example. So I have a feeling that people have their hands full. If anyone really wants to do this type of work, there are other ways to do it where they'll get academic credit. So I wouldn't expect a lot of younger folks coming out of the woodworks to help, but I do want to get the word out there because I think it could, this paper was founded by high schoolers. And it would be awesome to bring that back. One of the things we really want to do, something that is important to me, is interviewing. Oh, sorry, Henry. Do you mind? well, one of the things I wanted to do was to start interviewing people in town and posting those interviews. But certainly that's something that I'm going to need to get help with. I'm happy to pull it all together, but certainly I need content creators. So, but yeah, I'll send out an email about the whole thing soon.
Okay. Maybe that will be a great thing for high schoolers or volunteers to do.
I'm very hopeful. Yeah, yeah. And certainly the more people you bring in to volunteer, the more binding you have with the paper itself, and it sort of reinforces itself. Because it is one of the things that binds this town together, and certainly as all the events that we're used to have fallen away, I think it's one of the remaining sort of institutions that is still going that really just makes this town special. So I want to make it more special.
Anything else on the Bugle? Henry and Chris, were you wanting to say something?
What I really miss, and it was really Mary Moyer's bailiwick, was the Bugle Sweet and Sour. And Mary had a unique ability to pull in all this information, partly because she knew the older people in town. She also had an inn at the school, so she knew a lot of the newer people in town. But that was always one of the first things that I went to, sort of who was new in town, who might have been moving out or something. It was, babies, who had had a baby. And so I don't know how we go about finding someone who can pull all that together the way Mary did, but that was a feature of the Bugle that I really loved, and I think it's important to the fabric of the town.
I completely agree. We need a new Mary, and I'm definitely not Mary. It's been an interesting transitional thing with the town where, how are we reaching people? Because we have listservs, we don't know who's on these listservs. We have a lot of people who will withdraw from the listservs as they get toxic with, infighting about sidewalks or what have you. Or maybe there's, just people advertising things and you don't want to see it. And so I know many people that just choose to tune out. And then it's a question of how do we reach them? How do we get them to buy in? And that's certainly why we will always have to print this Bugle and put it in the post office, because people might quit the listservs, but they will never quit that post office. As much as we might want to quit the post office ourselves. I say that as a Southerner. I don't like walking there, but it's fine. I've given up that.
I suggest that Henry changes her name to Mary.
I will say, Henry, I think you would probably do a very good job wrangling folks to submit. Because it's true. I mean, especially like as people use the listserv in ways where maybe let it letter to the editor. Oh, sorry, Henry. Do you?
Oh, no.
Yeah. Oh, now you're muted. I'm sorry.
Something that I don't have that Mary had was that into the school, because she was there, and so she was had a real special. I do get out and walk my dog, but I think we need a combination of an older person and a younger person who sort of is tuned in to the young people who are moving in. So maybe it needs to be a dual thing. There needs to be a Mary who is multifaceted, multi-headed kind of thing.
Agree. And Alicia made a good note. Leslie Maloney, I think, who runs the parent listserv, would probably be a good start. And certainly, there is a whole nother listserv of people that aren't participating in the other listservs, and sometimes I feel like I need to email that listserv independently to make sure everyone's getting the bugle. But yeah, the one thing I realize is, although the bugle can be run with a limited staff, we're just better served by expanding that staff. We can do it, but it'll be a better product if we have more people involved. And thank you, Ed, of course, for another year of faithful reporting of the town council. Please never quit. So yeah, that's really just like, how do we how do we stay relevant as a newsletter in a easily email world? So that's and part of that is just
Thank you.
getting
I just wanted to say thank you to the Bugle, to the three of you who are doing it now.
Of course. And that's it.
Great. Well, thanks so much, Steve. Again, that was a really great presentation. I think even just having, like, I think this is the first time I can recall of like having sort of like a Bugle presentation at one of these CA meetings, and that was really like insightful for me to see that, and it's energizing. So I think even if we do, or if you do some version of this again, kind of periodically, you're gonna like get people in the fold, because it's like you are doing so much. So I think the more people know of like what's in the Bugle and what they can contribute, I think the more they'll want to get involved. So the last item on the agenda is a look at what our CA events for 2021 could look like. So I'll just share a screen here. Oh, also really quickly, Henry and Chris, did you guys also call in on a phone, or do we have another person that has joined the meeting? So I'm seeing Henry shake their head. So whoever called in on the phone, feel free to say hi and introduce yourself. We're a really small, intimate, fun group, so feel free to, or you don't have to, either way. So I will share my screen here. So can you all see that? Great. So this is just a little snapshot. Obviously, things are super, super tentative right now with COVID. But obviously, there are things that we could sort of plan for, even in a virtual world, that we will support as CA. But the first fun activity, or informative, I think exciting activity, again, is all due to Steve here, who has done a lot of coordination with a local law enforcement to have a chat with a police officer. That was a topic that had come up previously. So Steve, if you want to give a little bit of insights, this is a date that's firmed up. Steve has secured that. And so Steve, if you want to talk a little bit about what that's going to entail.
So this will be with Officer Dana Stroman. She's the Community Services Officer for the 2nd District with the Montgomery County Police Department. So if you're a member of the Neighbors app, you might see her post on there a lot. That's kind of where I saw her and thought, she might be a good person to ask. And it turns out she was. She gives these presentations. She does coffee with a police officer, or she did in the before times. So what she is prepared to do is provide us a brief canned presentation on who she is, what her office does. She will have crime statistics actually for our area, which she'll share with us. And then at the end, it'll turn into a Q&A where people can, sound off on concerns they've had. This idea did stem from some of the protests that were happening earlier in the year, and it took us a little while to get this going, but really excited to finally have this chat going on. So I hope it's going to be a productive and useful for people, and I hope they'll be well attended. But she's going to give a presentation for half of it, and she'll do a Q&A at the end.
Awesome. Thanks again for that, Stephen. We will have just the four of us, the CA board members, will have a prep call with her too, right? Just to make sure we can just logistics and facilitation,
Right.
all that. Great. Oh yeah, Joanne, start time on the 24th. Do we have that yet, Steve?
We don't have it yet, or actually, I think we do, but I don't remember. It'll be like 7:30. Was the planned time. I want to say 7:30, maybe 8, but I believe 7:30. I should be able to look that up soon.
And it'll probably be with WebEx too. So, Joanne, if maybe you can help, or do we have another
Oh,
platform?
sorry. No. So Officer Stroman has her own Zoom account, so she's just going to host, set it up, and we'll just be along for the ride, which I'm looking forward to that.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
Great. So any questions for Steve before we move on to the other tentative events? So we do have the town government nominations. And again, last year it was unique in terms of, and Andrea Fox had emailed me about, that was right when things were really starting to heat up with COVID. And so we did obviously all of that virtually. It's probably going to be the way that it goes this year. I haven't heard from her and the election judges. I haven't heard any more details on that, but I am just putting that in our sort of cosmos of these are things that are going to be happening this year. I imagine it'll probably be, we'll also facilitate as usual the candidates forum in April, that fourth Wednesday of April, which is the 28th. Again, right now, assuming it's going to be virtual, I feel like things are changing by the day, but also not at all changing. So right now I'm banking that it's going to be virtual, but we'll see. And then of course the big to be determined items that always happen every year, our 4th of July celebration and our Spooky Wood celebration. So those would be the dates. Again, not knowing what those would look like, if they would be canceled again because of the public health emergency. But so this is on the slate right now. But of course, we are open and happy to host other events. So kind of wanted this to turn into a little bit of an open discussion of, are there virtual events particularly that the town neighbors would be interested in? Fun things, educational things. Again, last year we did a kind of, I think it was 2 discussion sort of forums on race relations and racial equity. And then we had that workshop with, her name is now escaping me. Oh my goodness. Christina, I think. But so yeah, so if we could do that educational route, we could do, I don't know, anything like game nights, we could do virtual wine tastings that we could try to figure out. So let me know what would be interesting to you guys. And it's a pretty small group, so normally Tommy facilitates this and unmutes and mutes people. But if anybody has any ideas, let me know, or you can also let us know later. But
in May, we usually have Musicale, which was for raising funds for music scholarship for Garrett Park Elementary School, a music student. And we had to cancel it last year, but maybe there is a way to do it virtually or something. I'll send it to you.
Okay, that would be great. Because who normally I know I've attended it before, but that's not normally like CA specifically run. Who is the person who does that?
It's yes, because it's part of the community fund, Garrett Park.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, let me know. We can think about how to do that.
Mema, talk to Art and Jerry Lee. Their children are in the Maryland Classic Youth Orchestra, and they now have a lot of experience in virtual concerts. There's one tomorrow, as a matter of fact, and they might be able to give some hints
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Jerry Lee is the community fund's treasurer, so we're in touch all the time. So that's a good suggestion. Thank you.
Oh, good. Okay.
Thanks for that, Meme. I put that on the list. Anything else?
Yeah, it would be nice if we did just like either a wine tasting or just a cocktail hour to celebrate, hopefully before this calendar year is over, when things open up and say, hey, everybody, it's opened up. Let's get together and say hi to the people that we haven't seen in person for a year and a half.
So you're thinking not virtually, like once things are safe, you want to do something else together?
Right. Once things are safe, and it would be okay to have 60, 70 people in the town hall. I think that would be a nice thing to do.
Or maybe outside.
Or even outside. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I long for those days.
If you're looking for things to do while we are still sort of confined to quarters, various organizations have trivia nights, and Claire McDonald's presentation to the listserv around the holidays was very well received. So we might approach her and ask her if she would be willing to assemble a Garrett Park trivia quiz.
That would be great. Who is this?
Claire McDonald.
Claire McDonald, the town archivist.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Yeah, she's very good.
Yeah, that would be great. And I know she did a presentation last year as well, before the holidays, that was well received. I saw something in the chat.
Maybe she could introduce herself and have a program about the town before that, so people would be more interested. She had a wonderful program earlier, late last year.
Okay.
Well, she's had several programs now, including the several sessions at the town hall before we all had to go virtual. And so I think a lot of people in town actually do know who she is. Anyway, but I love the idea of her putting together a town trivia night. She might be able to enlist some of the people on the archives committee to help her put that together.
That's really fun. That would be that's a great idea. Awesome. So I have that on my list. I also see Joanne put in the chat, it would be great to do a newcomers welcome. Joanne, are you thinking virtually? Is that something you're thinking? Or like Ed, once everything is like safe, which we don't know when that's going to be yet, but.
I was thinking maybe later in the year. Like we traditionally have had it in September, but if it's safe by then, we have had it inside and outside of town hall. But it's just that it's been several years since we've done one, and there are a lot of new people in town.
Yeah, newcomers welcome. That's great. And maybe that can be a combination thing. Like again, I'm fingers crossed here but if later this year everything is safe and it's good, we could combine newcomers welcome with the wine and just happy event that Ed was mentioning before. So great. Well, these are some great ideas. So I've got on my list here. I'll wait to hear from you, Meme, in terms of the musicale. If how we could help maybe assist with that in May. And then I've got a TBD but hopeful in-person gathering at some point when things are safe later on. And then I have on my list to contact Claire McDonald for a potential maybe town-based trivia night, which I think sounds really, really fun. Anything else? It's just good to see everybody, even if it's virtual.
I also liked your idea, Alicia, for the virtual wine tasting. I know I've talked to a lot of people that are doing these things where, and sometimes it's their places of work where it's like, you get like a cocktail kit sent to your home, and then you all do like a Zoom thing, and the person tells you how to make it, and or you do the virtual wine tasting, and they actually ship you the different wines, or beer tasting. And I actually know somebody who does the beer tastings, if we wanted to go that route.
Oh, cool.
So those are kind of cool ideas for, for the cocktail hour social thing that we're not going to be able to do in person for a while.
I love that. That's so fun. I would love that. That's great.
Cool.
And maybe we can, so I'm looking at sort of the calendar here, because this was in February was when we did the in-person wine tasting last year, which was really fun. But yeah, let's think about if we were to do something like that. Tommy, do you have a thought on when?
Not really. I mean, I think that is a good thing because we're definitely not doing anything in person this winter. So
You might at one of the local distilleries. We did a rye tasting that was sponsored from Calvert-Woodley, but it was Sagamore ryes. And you picked up your kit with the different samples of, it was 5 different ryes. You picked them up at Calvert-Woodley. But I bet, one of the local distilleries might have something they could do. And,
and that would, of course, be Dan Simons.
Good point. Dan Simon. There we go. We have a contact at a local distillery right here in town. So, and they did up for the Sagamore thing. It was just little bottles of the five different ryes. But Dan, that's very true. Founding distillers. See if they're interested in organizing something for a tasting of some sort.
Yeah,
so
that would be fun.
Because it was a lot of fun. I mean, they had someone from Sagamore to explain the process and the differences between the ryes, how they were made. And it was an interesting program and fun. And we did not have to drive anywhere afterwards.
Exactly. That's awesome. Okay, I'm adding that to my list. This is all great stuff. Okay. Well, let me know if there's anything else that you can think of. And like you mentioned, Tommy, we're not going anywhere for a while, so we have plenty of opportunities for a lot of alcohol-based frivolity virtually. Great. Well, thank you guys so much. Therese, Steve, Tommy, anything else you want to add? I don't think I have anything else really.
I'm all good.
Thanks to all of you for continuing on and getting us through this time. We will have a citizens association that meets in person eventually.
Yes. Well, thank you. That's sweet, Henry. All right. Anything, Steve? Hello again.
I'm good.
Good. So then I guess next steps here will probably, I'm just thinking through, and again, anybody feel free to jump in. But so we'll probably, the 4 of us need to meet to talk talk about some of these ideas and how to move forward here. And then I know that we'll need to get out information soon about the February 24th event and just a little bit of a summary about what we talked about here. So probably in the next week or so, you'll see an email out on the listserv, and probably also in the Bugle too about what we talked about in this meeting and like some of the fun stuff ahead. Great. Well, thanks everyone. Have a good rest of the evening.